Hello, everybody. Where are us? Merchant's house is talking. We can't see anybody. Here we are. Speaker. And I don't know how to see us. I hate this. Anyway, hey everybody.
Can everybody see us though?
Yeah, I have no idea. Hey, can somebody put us in the
Q&A.
in the Q&A? Let us know if the video is coming out okay, because we can't see ourselves. We can see you.
Okay.
Hey, all right, that's good. I don't want to look at myself anyway. I'll just look at you. Hey everybody, my name is Dan. Sitting next to a very close friend of mine, Matilda Garrido. And we are with our, the enigmatic, in the shadows, Dr. Lee is back in the house. There he is right there. See, we don't know that you did anything.
Yeah, it just looks like
jumping. And then you guys, we've got some people that are participating. I hope everybody is doing well, and welcome to the Merchant's House. We are here just in the rear parlor of one of the formal parlors of the Merchant's House. And it's beautiful back there. These are all the original things that the Treadwells used in their home, this beautiful home. And yeah, we're gonna here talk to you tonight. It's our 237th episode of Spirit and Science, right?
Yeah.
Give or take. And yeah. So we want to thank you. Before we get started, as usual, we want to talk about what's coming up here at the Merchant's House, especially this month, busy month. And also we want to talk about this horrible contractors that are, these builders that are hoping to put a big, nasty hotel right next to the Merchant's House, which according to the engineers that the Merchant's House has brought in, would be catastrophic to the Merchant's House. You can see, maybe if we can get our cameraman to show some of the crown molding going up there. There you go. All that would just turn to dust with the vibrations and all that would be caused by construction right next to the house. So so if you can, please come to the house, take a tour, donate some money. All the money that comes into the house goes directly to the upkeep of the house in the fight against these developers next door. So so rest assured that your hard-earned money is going to a good cause. And then this month we have lots of stuff that Matilda will tell you about. We've got a lot of cool things, and a lot of the tours are selling out quickly. So
yes,
lay it on, Matilda.
Okay, so we have a lot of Halloween themed programming. We will have two exhibitions. The first is Truly We Live in a Dying World, where our home will be dressed up as a home in mourning in the 19th century. Then we have a very special exhibition of Victorian mourning jewelry from a private collection. Both these exhibitions will begin on the 11th. Annie Haddad, our historian, will be giving her great talk, 19th century mourning customs. That's on Wednesday, October 18th. And then we've got ghost tours every Friday and Saturday. And then the last weekend in October, we're also doing Sunday candlelit ghost tours. And then on each of those nights, Dan will be doing a special tour at 9:30. I will be joining Dan for that tour on October 13th.
Oh, cool. Next Friday.
Yeah, next Friday. We have a couple of walking tours, reinventing the Bond Street neighborhood, and the Treadwell's World of 19th Century NoHo on various dates. For all of these things, you should consult the website. And yeah, that's it. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, the ghost tours. You taking a ghost tour? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I've been on them with you.
Okay. I remember
Does that count?
Well, yeah. Yeah, they're really cool. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They are, I mean, we're in a haunted house, so there's always a possibility that something might happen. And it's always cool to see some of the people, you know, without fail, one of these tours And it's happened on a couple of my tours where people just freak out.
Yeah.
Entertaining to watch.
Mhm.
They've vomited, they've thrown up, started to cry,
Fainted.
or fainted. Yeah, people have fainted.
People see things, faces and
Yeah,
mirrors.
Yeah. So it's entertaining to say the least, and
Yeah.
and they're always fun. And my tours they do them at the end of the night because my tours go a little bit long. I have a lot of things to say, and my tours are like 90 minutes, give or take. So please come by. And again, all that money goes to the upkeep of the house and the fight against these buttheads next door that are trying to line their pockets with money at the expense of this really jewel of New York City, this time capsule. So please come support the house. It's a good thing to do.
Yes, and the ghost tours sell out quickly. We're almost sold out. So if you are interested, I highly recommend that you go onto merchantshouse.org and book as soon as possible.
Get on it. Get on it. All right. So, and we'll repeat all that at the end of the show. But tonight we're going to talk about, because it's Halloween, I guess this is a good topic to talk around a Halloween.
Well, and also the new Exorcist
The new
movie
Exorcist.
comes out today.
Right, so we're going to be talking about possession and exorcisms, which is a controversial subject. It always has been since the beginning of religion, I
Did
guess.
we choose this topic because we knew that?
Well, I
Just-
selected the topic.
Did you do it because you knew Exorcist was coming out today?
I knew it was coming out this month, but I didn't know it was coming out
Cool,
today.
that's a good
Mhm.
Exorcist is
Yeah,
one of my favorite
perfect.
movies.
It's a great movie.
The Exorcist.
It's a really
It's-
great
it's-
movie.
It's like Jaws. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
perfect movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
a lot of bad things happened on set.
like
though.
what?
Well, two people involved died, and then people connected with other people died. There was the house that was the set burned down.
I heard that.
Yeah, like a whole bunch of stuff happened,
Yeah.
like weird stuff. Although Max von Sydow, who played the main
Father
priest,
Merrick,
in it, yeah, he thinks it's just because the filming took so long that like so much stuff happened.
Because for
Who knows?
20
Maybe.
years, then half the people die.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the main actress?
Ellen Burstyn.
She became well known.
Ellen Bernstein became pretty well known,
Yeah.
and
She's in the new movie.
yeah,
Oh, really?
She is. I don't think Linda Blair is.
no,
So she
no.
didn't get typecast as like a head rotating demon girl?
Does she what?
She didn't get typecast as like a.
No, I think sort of they did a sequel to The Exorcist called The Heretic, which is probably one of the worst movies ever made.
Oh,
Also
that's
with her?
And yeah, she was in it. And then the third movie, which is one of my favorites, The Exorcist 3, which
Oh,
has got probably one of the scariest moments I've ever seen in any movie ever.
Huh.
It still makes me jump, and I know it's
ooh,
gonna
I've
happen.
never seen it. I'm
Oh,
gonna have to see
it's
it.
really, really good. It's got George C. Scott and Brad Dourif, two of my favorite actors.
Mhm.
And
Linda Blair?
and no, Linda Blair's not in
Not
it.
describe the scene. Cool.
Oh, I won't. It'll be very obvious what it
Okay.
is after it happens, because you will jump. Everyone jumps.
Uh-huh.
I saw it in the movie and
Okay.
everyone jumped, and I still jump when I watch it. It's excellent. There's excellent acting. It
Really?
gets a little cheesy at the end because they do special effects, but up until then there were no special effects.
Uh-huh.
And there's just great debates between the devil and
Is the
and-
devil personified?
yeah.
Mm,
And you know who's in it? In a cameo? Patrick Ewing, the center for the New York Knicks, is in it. So any
Okay.
Exorcist, any devil movie
I
that's
have to
got
watch
Patrick Ewing smiling at the camera, you gotta watch. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's just crazy because all these weird things, and you're like, is that just Patrick Ewing? Was that just Patrick Ewing, the center for the Jets, that is sweating at the foul line every time you see him? But it's really, really good. But apparently this movie, because I've read a little bit about it,
Uh-huh.
this new Exorcist movie, which is called Exorcist Believer, I think. And it doesn't take into account the Exorcist 2 or Exorcist 3.
Yeah.
It's a direct sequel to the first one.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's gotten sketchy reviews,
Yeah.
but I'm such a huge fan of the first one.
Mhm.
It's the scariest movie ever made. It's the scariest movie ever
I
made.
think it
It's the
is.
scariest movie ever made.
Well, you know, it's based on a true
It's
story.
based on a true story by a little boy named Roland, which I'm
Mhm.
reading a book right now about the case notes that the priest took.
And actually, the the writer who wrote the book, The Exorcist, based the book on the priest's notes from that case.
Right. Peter Blatty.
Yeah.
And yeah, these are, I mean, the notes are, and I've seen the notes are a little, they're notes. So they're not, he's not writing huge descriptions of what's going on. He's just writing quick shorthand notes.
She is now growing up on my face.
Yeah. And, but yeah, it was a little boy who was, they believe, abused by possibly his aunt, who was a spiritualist.
Yeah.
And the family was really, there was apparently some lost money that they thought the aunt knew about. So they were using the boy as like a medium to,
Wait, the aunt was
the aunt had passed away.
Okay.
Yeah, the aunt had passed away.
after abusing the kid.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And they thought the kid might have been possessed by the aunt, or the aunt was coming through him. So the family was using the little boy to try and get information from his aunt. So they were doing everything they could to promote a possession, hoping he would be possessed
So
by.
they're like, wanted to happen.
Yeah. They were like using him as bait. And some people believe that the devil
So the
was.
priest is there like trying to exorcise them. They're like, hold on. I think
Yeah. It seems like his aunt. Don't get rid of her. Anybody else. I forgot the name of the demon that supposedly was possessing the little boy, Roland Doe. They call him. But
I know his real name.
you do?
Yes, and did you know that he went on to work for NASA?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
He's still alive. Yeah.
Yep, his real name was Ronald Hunkler.
Hunkler. Huh.
cool.
But it's a strange subject to talk about, because you can't get away with not talking about religion, because it is religious. So I would ask somebody like you, Lee, what do you think about like somebody claiming to be possessed, being a man of science?
Yeah. I looked into it briefly, and there are actually some papers published on it, some studies where they actually, so some studies focused on, actually several focused on the idea that like it may be kind of equivalent to like hypnosis, where it's like, if this family especially is like suggesting to the kid essentially like, hey, you think you might be possessed with, whatever the odds are. So, and if there's a religious family, if somebody's a spiritualist, there's a lot of kind of suggestions of like what things might possession looks like and all that. So basically these studies took people and they like hypnotically suggested that, well, they got highly hypnotically suggestible people. So everybody's along a spectrum, and like there's actually sort of a test where you can kind of get a score of like how hypnotizable you are. So they got people that score high on that, and then they hypnotized them, threw them into one of these brain scanners, and like told them like, go, like you're possessed. And they saw interesting, they saw activity of the brain that suggested that they're seeing things or imagining seeing things, same parts of the brain get activated. But the problem with all these studies is there's no real good way to get to the core question of maybe not what because they're kind of assuming it's bull crap and just kind of find out how, what it looks like. But there's no way to really get at that core question of like, is there truly something invisible outside that's entering this person and possessing them? Because they can, that could theoretically cause the same brain activity or whatever. But it's intriguing that, so one thing I didn't find was one way to kind of get at that answer would be like, okay, let's take all the people that have ever been possessed and like do a survey and find out like, are they all 100% highly hypnotizable, or like 70% of them, or some correlation there. Does that at least start suggesting like, okay, like maybe they are getting just suggested by.
Can somebody hypnotize themselves by accident?
Yeah, they can, because being hypnotized is all just the spectrum. Like even just having this conversation, like, there's no like hypnotized state where somebody is hypnotized. It's all just kind of, people can be suggested to do things. I can say like, hey, watch out, like your chair's about to tip over and you'll lean forward a little bit, right? It's like, that's just like a kind of small section along that spectrum of like getting you to quack like a duck.
I went to a hypnotist, quit smoking.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Nice.
And he said, you're not going to go to sleep. You're going to remember everything.
Yeah.
Remember everything. And I was like, being hypnotized? And he said, being like when you go to a movie, and you're so into a movie, or if you're watching
exactly,
television program. Everything else just sort of drops
Yeah.
away and you're just, he goes,
Yeah.
it's just extreme concentration.
yeah,
And that's when you're the best at being susceptible
yeah,
to suggestions.
yeah,
And he said, you can't, I'm not gonna make you crack like a duck. I couldn't do that
yeah, yeah.
if you didn't want to.
And a lot of people don't even realize they've been hypnotized because it just feels totally natural to them.
Right.
It essentially is. It's just kind of, it's all along that same spectrum.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked. I
Yeah.
haven't had a cigarette since.
Nice.
So,
Well, also, if someone is mentally unstable and is having a break with reality and they believe in possession,
Yeah.
then maybe,
Exactly. That's kind of self-hypnosis. Like you convince yourself that it doesn't have to be a person in like a hypnotist suit or a doctor or whatever. It can be like some invisible thing that you believe in that has power over you. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
what does a hypnotist suit look like, Lee? I might want to
Yeah,
do
they
that.
got, like,
probably.
Like if you think about, if you type in Google image search now, like, stage hypnotist, they wear like the high collars, they dress in a certain way. No, but they do that intentionally because that's helping with the exact.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
well, that's what people expect
Exactly.
a hypnotist to look like.
Exactly,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Yeah, if you come in wearing like a plumber's uniform, like they'll be less likely to be
Yeah,
hypnotized.
you would have your hypnotist uniform
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
what-
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't mean to bust your chops.
Yeah.
It's too easy.
Well, something I want to say, and this actually is going to lead in, that I was going to say that I was a little worried about doing this because I feel like even talking about the devil provides an opening. And when Dan and I were talking before the show,
Yeah.
he surprised me by saying that he has actually been at an exorcism.
Mhm.
And so that leads in, you felt that you were identified because you had been to a lecture
Yeah.
on,
I had been to a lecture and
A
first
lecture on.
on demonology.
Okay.
And it's not something that I buy into because again, you get into the religion stuff
Yeah,
and I try and stay away from that.
but I do believe in it though.
Yeah,
I do.
I don't know that I do. I believe that people truly believe they can be possessed.
Mhm.
I believe that this, and it was a teenage girl in the Bronx. I believe she believed.
What was who was the teenage girl in the Bronx?
She was the possessed person. They were
So
gonna,
this talk okay.
the exorcism I went to,
Got it.
and it was a solemn exorcism. Sam Chapik, I use, what hypnotist did he use? Sam, I hope you're trying to quit smoking, because if you go to Jeffrey Rose, he will get you to quit smoking. Jeffrey Rose, hypnotist, he's on the Upper East Side. Anyway, I believe that people believe, but then that makes me think, what's the difference?
But you don't believe in the devil? I mean, you don't believe in.
I believe in evil.
Mhm.
I don't know that there's necessarily an individual. I don't know if there's an individual that is God.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an individual that's the devil.
Like, what's the difference between like a devil, like religious wise, and just like the most horrible human being that's ever lived?
Yeah.
Like a murderer or something that dies and becomes a spirit and like goes around messing with people.
Well,
Right.
a demon doesn't have to be the devil. Maybe I should say I believe in demons.
Mhm.
But
well,
same thing.
You also have to remember
There's some
who the devil was, who Lucifer was. Lucifer
God's
was
favorite
God's favorite
angel.
angel, and tried to take over the family business, and
Right.
and he got booted out.
Yeah.
And then Jesus was next in line, but Lucifer was first in line.
Mhm.
And the Archangel Michael, with a sword of blue lightning, booted him out of heaven. So I believe in a higher power. I don't necessarily believe that because there is a higher power that is all goodness. I don't know if it's all goodness.
Mhm.
We have terrible things in the world,
Right.
and
but
if
that-
they're responsible for everything, then they're responsible for typhoid fever and smallpox
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I guess we'll all find out. But
Yeah, and I don't think it's, the answer for me is I don't think it's necessary to, there are other ways either to cure hypnosis and there's absolutely nothing, or via simpler mechanisms of just like, if spirits do exist, then it could just be a really bad asshole person that becomes a spirit.
Yeah.
Right, but I think there's a difference between a demon and a spirit.
right.
Like a demon's in a whole other
But now,
category.
when you say the word demon, what do you
Yeah,
picture?
what do you mean?
I picture something that was never a living person.
All right.
That,
Like a tree?
no, like a force, I guess, that was never a living person the way that a ghost or a
But is
spirit
it physical? Does it have mass or is it?
I mean, I feel like it has mass and then it becomes other masses.
All right.
Like, I feel I have a lot of, I guess, fantasies
Why would it need to
about
possess somebody?
what
Why would it need to possess somebody?
to hurt other people.
But if they have a body, why don't they just come and check?
But they don't really have a body. They don't have a body like we think of as a body.
Right, that's why I describe your demon. That's what I was like. Is there a form? Does it have a
Yeah.
tail and horns and a pitchfork, or is it?
Yeah, right now, the only difference is it's basically a ghost that was never alive, but what?
Well,
why does that make
it's
it
like
worse?
a terrible thing, like Voldemort almost,
All right.
like that.
Crazy
You
blonde
know.
hairdo and a bad orange tan,
No, those.
maybe. Um. Yeah. So,
But anyway, so what happened at the exorcism?
Yeah,
okay, so, it was pretty wild. It was wild. Now, to do this,
I bet,
Yeah.
right? In the
to-
Bronx
to
especially.
do this, in Riverdale, in a nice area.
Oh, okay.
And it was I got the call from a gentleman in Brooklyn who I had met at a demonology lecture in Philadelphia. And I was kind of the jerk. He did this whole, him and somebody else did this whole great presentation. And the reason I went is because I knew it would be entertaining and I knew it would be cool. And I wanted to see these guys speak. I heard that they were great, gave a great lecture.
Yeah.
And they did. It was really, really cool. But they said a lot of things that I had never ever heard before. And I can't not ask questions. And they told us all these things and they said there was probably 250, 300 people there. And they said every one of us now are on the devil's radar because we're there and we have an interest in demonology and we're all going to be checked out to see now for an exorcism and for possession, there's 3 stages. There's oppression, there is infestation, and then there's a total possession. And they said the devil's minions, his soldiers, are going to come check us out to see if we're a good candidate for the first part, for oppression, and then maybe they can get into the infestation and then the total possession. So I'm laying in my bed. This was in Philadelphia. I'm laying in my bed that night going, are they checking me out right now? It was good. It was creepy, but I still wasn't buying it 100%. So cut to months later, maybe even over a year, I get a call from one of the guys who was doing the presentation, who lives in Brooklyn. And he said, hey, Dan, and he knew what I was doing. And Dan, I am going to assist on a solemn exorcism, which a solemn exorcism is one that has been approved by the bishop. So it's gone through all the channels, Catholic Church. And you need a doctor there, you need a couple priests, and you need some burly guys to hold this person down just in case. And I went because I was a non-believer and they thought it would be good.
One of the burly guys?
I was one of the burly guys,
Oh,
yeah. And I wore my burly guy uniform and
They staff on it.
security, divine security services. But I went and it was, see, the red flag for me was sort of, it was just like the movie. And, but then those are the rites of exorcism. The movie was doing it the way it is in the Bible.
Yeah.
So who was copying who? And so I was like, oh, all right. And then weird stuff started to happen and the girl was bugging out like in the movies. No pea soup, no head spinning or anything like that. No levitating, but stuff was moving around. And
You mean other stuff in the room? Like
PK stuff, yeah, like stuff on a dresser, the whole dresser got wiped down, but behind us.
Yeah.
So
I know, yeah.
being a paranormal investigator, I'm going,
Yeah, okay.
who was that?
Yeah.
Who did that? Or
Set up the strings.
yeah. And it was, I got the feeling that they really wanted this girl to be possessed.
Yeah.
So that they could do the exorcism.
The priest?
Everybody there.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're there. They probably don't get paid.
Were they filming?
No. They recorded it.
They probably got paid by the hour, so like.
yeah, look it up. But it was very interesting, and I don't know if I was the only one there that didn't believe it, but everybody seemed like they were
Should have.
buying it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And everybody did see all the stuff that was happening. And again, that's what's poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
It's somebody under stress who can't, for whatever reason, express what's going on with them.
And how old was the girl?
She was probably 16.
So that's the age, that's
Yeah,
when
yeah.
poltergeist,
Does
because,
possession coincide with poltergeist age too? Like,
Well,
say,
yeah, well,
17?
no, I
poltergeist is-
don't think, so. Not
is-
necessarily. I
not
think
yet.
anybody at any age theoretically can
Right.
become possessed.
And I've read a couple of really good books on exorcisms, and I read this really good book. A priest from Ireland wrote a book on 5 of his cases, I guess you would call them, that all happened after the year 2000. And
Not this, not this.
no, not this one,
Mhm.
but that's a great book. Malachi Martin, who's he was a Catholic priest. Catholic priest? Was he Catholic?
Well, he had to be, because the Episcopal Church
Yeah.
does not exorcise
Right.
people.
Yeah, point it does.
Interesting book. Hostage to the
Oh.
Devil is a really, really good book. If you want to read a creepy book, it's really good. I think those are 5 cases as well, right?
Okay, yeah,
This
something
book.
like that.
And Malachi Martin was he was the Vatican's exorcist, and very critical of the Catholic Church, very critical of
Really?
the papacy. Would that make sense?
And yet he was the Pope's.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was very, very critical of it,
really good
and
job.
died under mysterious circumstances, not necessarily because of an exorcism or that. I
Yeah,
think it more had to do with him criticizing
Yeah.
where the Catholic Church
Mhm.
is seated at these days. But wrote some very, very interesting case studies here. And so anyway, the one that I was on was, I had hold this girl down with this other guy, and I powerlifted for a long time, and she didn't get away from me, but she was putting up a really, really good fight. Again, adrenaline can make you strong.
Mhm.
Women
yeah.
pull cars off their kids in
Right.
car accidents, and as far as the stuff moving around the room and chairs flipping over,
Did you have her in any kind of special chokehold or
no,
something?
no, I should put it right there. But
Right?
yeah, and she looked normal. She didn't look like
Yeah.
out of the movie. She was a lovely young little girl, but cursing up a storm and spitting, and I was telling Matilda, I told the devil to shut up.
You did?
I did. Yeah, you're not supposed to engage.
Wait,
And-
you like looked at her and told her to shut up?
Yeah, because she was screaming and screaming and
Yeah, like-
screaming. I eventually just went, shut up, shut up. And I got yelled at, by the priest. The priest, you don't do that. You're gonna let them in. And on the inside, I'm going, come on in. I wonder if it's real. You can come in.
Oh, don't.
I do it. When
don't.
people get nervous, I say, look, I'll say it now. If there's an evil spirit in the merchant's house tonight,
Matilda
Possess
does not
me.
want to be sitting
yeah,
there.
possess me.
Mm,
It won't happen.
well, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
Did she talk in different, like speak in tongues or?
Well, I don't know if it's tongues.
How did she react when you told her to shut up? Did she look a little bit offended or?
No. She didn't stop screaming.
You thought you just stopped and oh my, flexed her pearl.
Would have been really cool if it just stopped and it was me.
Right?
Shut up. Whole possession.
Yeah.
Stop. My goodness, that's all we had to do. Let's see. Questions, but it was.
Oh, this book, it's
okay.
called Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin.
All right. Oh, so Sam needs to stop eating sugar. All right, yeah, do that. And don't start smoking, Sam, with eating candy bars. But it was something I'm really glad I did. It wasn't anything that convinced me that the devil was inside this woman, or an evil or a demon was inside this girl.
Yeah.
I tried to follow up afterwards. I heard, a few weeks later that she was doing much, much better and everything was okay. And the family was very happy. And so that sounds good. I don't know what happened after that.
Also went to work with acid problem.
Yeah. And but it made me a bigger believer in recurring spontaneous psychokinesis
Yeah, that's cool.
than
Mm.
possession.
And
Uh-huh.
it suggests, if it is that like you can.
And the power of
you can
suggestion
yeah,
is,
exactly, through hypnosis, self-hypnosis, whatever, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's kinda cool.
you know, we heard that there were marks on her from the family but, you know, if you tell somebody that, you know, a pen is red hot, you convince them that it's red
Yeah,
hot, you touch
absolutely.
somebody, they're gonna get a blister.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the mind is a lot more powerful, I think, than any demon or the devil. And I think what was going on in the Bronx and Riverdale that night was more a matter of some kind of poltergeist effect or
Yeah,
recurring
or at least
spontaneous
it could have
psychosis.
been, yeah, I mean, there are definitely studies showing that, yeah.
Yeah. And but again, it was something I'm glad I participated in, but I didn't experience anything that convinced me that that was the devil. Maybe that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And
Or maybe it wasn't an actual possession.
right,
Or
I mean,
maybe
just
he's
because
been
that
possessed
one,
since then, and that's why he's making this whole argument against it, right?
maybe.
he's trying to
That's
mislead
true,
us.
but the devil
He's
never-
trying to fool us.
Have you been reading this book? Have you started reading
Well,
it
I
yet?
have not started reading this book. My favorite book on the subject is written by M. Scott Peck, who I
Mhm.
was telling you about, who wrote a very famous book called The Road Less Traveled. He's a psychiatrist. The book was on the New York Times bestseller list for like 25 years.
And it's on this topic, or,
No, that's his book on psychology.
okay,
He wrote several books on psychology, but and he's a rationalist, right? So he was called in to be the psychiatrist on an exorcism, and for various reasons ended up leading it, and then led two more, and himself is absolutely convinced of the existence of the devil. So
Oh.
I recommend that book, which is called Glimpses of the Devil by M. Scott Peck.
interesting.
Yeah, I think you would really like it, actually.
Interesting.
Mhm.
He talks about his experiences, like leading those exorcisms after the.
Yes, he describes them in detail.
And I mean, I would think that like he uses like psychological techniques, or he just like throws all that away, is like out devil, and like brings out a crucifix.
No, so he did have priests in to assist him,
Okay,
but he was the one leading the dialogue between the
Okay.
devil and the team.
interesting.
And like I said, you know, he before this, he was a rationalist, and he can certainly distinguish between psychiatric phenomenon and something else. So I think you should read it. I think everybody should read it, actually, because it's terrifying.
What's it?
Glimpses of the
Glimpses of the
Devil
Devil, all right.
by M. Scott Peck.
Cool.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Putting that in my brain back
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what do you guys think? You know, has anybody had any kind of experience with this stuff? If you want to send a message, or even if you wanted to chat, I could allow you guys to chat. So let me know if anybody is interested in
Yeah.
and talking to us about this or debating us about this.
You can also just throw it in the Q&A section too.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be
Can you
actual
describe the
questions.
exercise? Okay, we just did that. Yeah, you know, I think
Well, what's the difference? Okay, so what would be the difference? So spirits, are there evil spirits? Like, do you believe in evil spirits,
If
or are
spirits
they
come from
all
dead
neutral?
people, then if they're bad people, they become bad spirits.
yeah, I mean, do you believe in evil people?
Yes.
Then there's evil ghosts. You know, when, you know, if somebody's a jackass when they're alive, when they die, it's, you know, we're talking about the consciousness that has survived bodily death.
Mhm.
So is that consciousness, was that a cool person, or was that
Yeah.
person with a jackass?
Yeah.
And I don't think when people pass away and then they go over to wherever it is you
Yeah,
go,
just
I don't think
become
they
a
become
neutral.
enlightened and
Yeah.
smarter than
No,
anybody
but
else.
you're totally dismissing any ideas of like reincarnation or soul contracts or things like that, that
Not
say we
necessarily.
do
Yeah.
things in this life in order to either progress or not progress to like another.
Yeah, some people don't
Existence.
progress and they get meaner, or they stay mean, and then they go into another body and reincarnates, and you know, it's not.
And you know,
mutually
and that's making reincarnation like almost a spiritual adventure rather than just like a physical thing that just happens. You know, I mean, if you're gonna be reincarnated,
Yeah,
are you have to be better than you were in the past life before, or are you trying to achieve higher
isn't it? It's
standing,
almost-
or could
Yeah.
you just be born again, you know?
I
Could you
mean,
just,
you could just be born again, but I mean, I guess, but
Is-
reincarnation theory, there's like a purpose to the cycle.
yeah,
Yeah, but isn't it actually the opposite? It's like the best people that are enlightened get to stop being reincarnated.
Yeah, but that
Everybody else-
takes a long time.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that's what I
you
mean.
go
It's like,
through.
there's not a choice. It's like everybody just keeps getting thrown again through the cycle until they become like, whatever, enlightened.
Well, no, what you do in your life makes the difference.
but not everybody can be reincarnated, because if that was true, we wouldn't have any ghosts, because everybody would just be alive.
Well,
already,
so,
right?
yeah, so I don't know how, I mean,
Also, we have a higher population now than we did at the beginning, so where are the new souls coming from?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
My God.
well, I guess.
We have a
maybe they're
studio
just
audience
for
tonight,
real.
and you just blew her mind, boy.
No, just,
And it's the prettiest studio audience we've ever had.
So it's basically fragments.
Uh-huh.
So if you believe that.
Fragments of the previous souls?
No, like if you believe in God or the universe or some higher being, all of the souls are basically fragments of that one true,
Okay. I see
One,
what you're
the
saying.
one.
The
Mhm.
day God's standard.
the
it
one.
just keeps coming
So,
up.
yes, every time there's new souls,
You're going to hell.
think of it as like a vase, you have one solid vase, you break it, there's little fragments of glass everywhere.
Uh-huh.
You take that little that piece of glass, you break it even more, smaller fragments.
So God is just throwing shit around every day to make more and more fragments?
So we're just all just pieces of
Okay.
fragments.
Mhm.
Extension?
Yeah.
That's interesting, and I like how you've made God like a vase, because I think that's a cool image of,
Yeah.
you know, him holding, because vases hold beautiful things. right?
mhm.
Yeah, but he keeps breaking himself apparently, right?
Well, he's
Yeah.
it's unlimited. He's
Yeah.
Please go on hell.
boundaries, yes.
We say that the universe is ever expanding.
Yeah, that's right.
Infinite.
Yeah.
So think of the vase as just, it's infinite, and you can keep breaking it into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces, and
Yeah.
it's just, there's no end to how small it can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lee.
Well, what about very evil people like Hitler and,
Well,
Serial killers, yeah.
all right, I don't want to talk about Hitler, because I was gonna say.
well, I could name
So-
someone else, but I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
going to.
But to
Because
all
I
those
want to
evil
respect
people.
other people's political
Yeah,
opinions.
that's not a moron, and I don't think that there's any question.
Right, I don't think,
Yeah.
I mean, is he evil? Yes, he's evil, but he doesn't have power. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah, there's plenty of other evil
he's
people.
like the emperor who has no clothes or whatever. He's like empty, he's like paper.
Yeah,
You know what I
that-
mean?
then that brings up like what is evil too, it's like evil people, like serial killers, like some of them, they're in jail and they've been interviewed and like, they're not like evil, what you would think of as evil, like they happen to enjoy.
Jeffrey
like,
Dahmer was like
killing
a
people.
calm,
Yeah, they happen to enjoy
polite,
like
cordial guy.
dissecting other people's bodies and like,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that doesn't play well with the rest of society, but.
Well,
you know,
especially if you kill them. I mean,
Yeah, but again, like they didn't have that emotion, so.
And,
it's kind of hard to define.
all right, I'm just gonna be devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
so
I told you.
a sociopath, right, rather than a psychopath.
Right, right, like. Jeffrey Dahmer, there was something broken in him.
Mhm.
There was something broken in him. So does that make him evil? Like, was
Yeah,
he possessed by the devil, or was he just broken,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Because by all accounts, he just had some problems. He was a raging alcoholic.
Yeah,
He was not comfortable with his sexuality and fighting against it, I think. And or ashamed of it, like a self-hating
yeah,
homosexual, and lonely, because he said he wanted these people around.
Yeah.
And so, and for every evil person, all the evil people out there's somebody that thought that they were okay.
and,
Right.
yeah, and honestly, like, even just on a daily basis, like 99.9 or 100% of the time, when like somebody like, does something where you're like, oh, look at that asshole, like, if you truly knew like why they did that thing, like,
Yeah,
there's a reason behind everything,
Yeah.
and it's almost never like, this person like knows they'll harm you and wants to harm you and,
Yeah.
and do X, Y, Z, so.
yeah. No, and don't get me wrong, I do think there are evil people out there, you know, I've seen people who, you know, like little kids who torture
enjoy-
animals.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one of the first signs of a psychopath serial killer is
Yeah.
killing animals as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again,
That's like a
when you
red
boil it
flag.
down of like, do they know, can they feel like the pain this animal's feeling and they like enjoy that fact? Not necessarily. They might just
Mhm.
kind of just be like, oh, look, like when I do this, it makes this noise, you know,
Right.
like do it in a rationalistic
Or
way.
just what a stupid thing to do and try and like scare somebody or
Yeah,
impress somebody. We used to have these kids in the neighborhood when I was growing up, and we weren't allowed to go on that block because these kids were bad news. But they used to bury cats in the
Oh,
ground and then run them over with lawnmowers.
Jesus.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, horrible, horrible. But I
Were their
don't think they were the devil.
Were their
Right.
parents kind of along?
You know, I was pretty young, so I don't really remember them, and they both died just really.
The kids or the parents.
No, the
Yeah,
kids,
that's
and
not
as
a
adults,
lawnmower.
they like somebody found one of them with a bag over his
Suicide by
head.
lawnmower, kind of thing. Huh.
No fun.
Yeah.
But
Jesus. Okay.
yeah, so I, you know, I don't know about the devil, and you know, when people talk about God being all powerful, and it seems like they talk about a God and the devil as beings, as physical beings that you could sit down and talk with or interact with.
Also,
But
though,
if God is so powerful, all powerful, why doesn't he just stop the devil?
because human beings because when Adam and Eve ate the apple,
Mhm.
they gained free choice. So the only way that the human beings will save themselves is if they choose to be good,
Mhm.
right? So that's why God doesn't swoop in and
Right.
That's interesting.
save us, even though he could,
Right.
he or she could theoretically.
But when you get
We have to choose good.
when you get an evil person like a dictator, like a Hitler or somebody who's doing these horrible, horrible things, he thinks he's doing good though, you know, these guys that flew the planes into the trade center. They believed they were doing something good. They were doing it for God. They were doing it for their religion. And so I guess my question is, and I have my own opinion, I think those guys are murderers, but
Well, here's
who's got it right, you
Like,
know?
how do you define it? You can't really, I don't think you can really define evil in the way that people want to when they use that
Yeah.
term.
But here's my question too. If you're the devil and you want to wreak havoc in the world, right? And instead of the world becoming overwhelmingly good, you want it to become overwhelmingly bad.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to be a little more stealthy about it and not like make somebody like appear crazy?
Yeah, and why would you
bark
go
an
to
exorcism?
why would you go to a little girl in Riverdale? Why don't you go to,
Yeah.
you know, in front of the United States?
You're
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
you
go,
can do a lot more damage.
yeah. But and that's, you know, that was another thing when I was at the lecture I was talking about earlier on demonology, and I kept raising my hand, and luckily I knew the guys that were doing so they weren't getting mad at me. But you know, one of my questions was, and they talked about, of course, Ouija boards and how that's, you know, letting in evil spirits,
Yeah.
and I said, I raised my hand and I said, well, why am I just learning about this now? Like, why am I just learning about this now, not to use a Ouija board in my late 40s? Shouldn't that be like, as soon as somebody understands, you know, whatever language you're going to be speaking, somebody should tell you, because the devil's going to come find you and you're going to be possessed maybe, and they're going to be checking you. Oh, why am I learning about this now?
Well, I mean, I learned as a child that you shouldn't use a Ouija board
Why not though? We do.
because of that exact same reason.
But how does the devil
Because
know
it
to go
creates
through a
an
Ouija board?
opening. Because it's like it just creates an opening, I guess, for something to come through.
The
And
Ouija board?
yes,
The Ouija board
yes.
itself.
Well, the use of the Ouija board creates an opening. It gives
An
a
intention.
choice.
People say it's the
It-
intention.
At the very least, it creates an opening because of the mechanisms you were describing earlier, though, like a psychological mechanism.
Right.
Right.
You have started this, like, it's possible that you have started this process of committing yourself.
But then
to this stuff.
I gotta ask you, when you're singing downstairs and asking for a response, you're doing the same exact thing as you would be doing with the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Well,
What's the intent?
okay.
What's the intention?
No, so the
The intention
intention,
is communication.
the intention is communication with specific entities here in this house.
Yeah, but you
Right.
could address this.
But how do you filter the bad people out?
Well, you don't. And actually, I was told that, not you, obviously, but another paranormal investigator came to this house and said that there is a demon that lives in this house.
And that demon's name.
Dan Sturges. No.
I hate that guy.
You wanna know? You wanna know?
You know the person that told me, that brought that
All right,
person here.
yeah, I would like to know who the person is.
I think it was, not someone with a huge established reputation. Let's
Yeah,
just say
all
that.
right. But not one of the TV guys.
No,
Oh, because I know the
No.
Ghost Adventurer guy.
no,
They thought they were evil.
a
spirits.
YouTube
Oh,
person.
okay,
Mhm.
yeah, no,
What?
I don't want to know who that is.
Yeah.
Well, tell him here. I would love to debate him. It's not like he could be right. I could be
Well,
wrong.
and they said that it lives on the stairs, which really kind of freaked me out, because sometimes the stairs freak me out, and yeah.
It's like-
There's like little pockets here that make me very,
All
I
right.
feel
Well.
something.
Can you give the title of the book again? Do you have any experiences with ghosts tied to a location? All right, cool. I'm up for chatting about this. I think the chat is disabled, though. I am specialized in psychic disorders.
That's kind of cool.
Oh,
No, I have not seen the next one, but some of my
Catherine
books have
Nordgren,
not.
okay.
So Catherine, did you want to maybe speak to us, or we don't have a lot of time left, but
I don't know, is there a way to enable that? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. See if Catherine answers us. Let's see, do you have any experience of ghosts tied to a location, like in a oblivious time loop? Unaware of the contemporary location? It sounds like you are talking about when people talk about ghosts being tied to a location. I don't think, and again, this is just my opinion, and we haven't been able to prove that ghosts exist yet. So I think it's irresponsible to put limitations on a ghost and saying,
Yeah.
oh, he's stuck here. And we don't even know that they exist yet.
Mhm.
So,
But also, if you go along with the analogy we were going before, like bad person, bad ghost, like I could say you're tied to your friggin' house, right? You're there 90% of the time. You're not actually.
Well, I'm there 90% of the time.
Well,
I do leave
okay.
my house.
Yeah, but okay, so like you're
She's here.
here 90% of the time,
Uh-huh.
You're in a place, the average person is in a place 80% of the time, right? You spend 8 hours a night sleeping, like in your bed. Are you tied physically to your bed by
Right.
like some kind of psychic leash? No.
Well,
But like
yeah.
you chill out there because that's where you live and where you sleep. So
Well-
you can say the same thing for ghosts.
I wonder if the question really is about, though, like if there was a ghost like in a house and then that house was torn down and then a new house was built
right.
on the same location,
Sure.
will that ghost come? Like,
Well, and now let's get into semantics as well, when you're talking about a ghost or an apparition or a spirit. A lot of in parapsychology, when scientists, parapsychologists are talking about a ghost, they're not talking about being able to interact. That would be an
Right.
apparition.
right.
A ghost would be what they call a residual haunting on the ghost shows,
Mhm.
which is something like a film strip they.
Stone tape theory.
Yeah,
Mhm.
where the energy can be absorbed by that location, and whatever the triggers are and whatever the right person has to be there, they can perceive something that has happened, not necessarily in the distant past. It could be, a year ago, 6 months ago, a day ago.
Yeah.
And then if you're able to interact with whatever you're seeing, that would be an apparition. That would be an intelligent haunting, they call it, or an
Yeah,
apparition.
I still don't like it because it's coming up with different terms to define different behaviors. And
Yeah.
those different behaviors, though, are basically the exact same distribution of behaviors that exist in living people.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't give a crap about you and like they'll walk right past you and ignore
Right.
you, like even if you're right in front of them. And there's some people that want to engage with you.
Right.
So like,
Well, some people say, oh, I saw a spirit walk through the wall. Well,
Yeah.
maybe 100 years ago, there was a
no
door
wall.
there,
Yeah.
and then that got torn down,
Or
and you're just watching a replay of a
Yeah.
woman that was
or
walking
they're
through
just
it.
crazy and they don't want to walk through the door. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
these terms might as well be like introvert, extrovert, whatever.
Right.
The same terms we use for living.
That's
people.
why I think it's hard to like put limits on these people or say, oh, they're stuck here because unfinished business.
Yeah.
Who dies with all their business finished. You know, there's
Right.
always a little bit of unfinished.
Yeah, and that's why I think, you know, and that's in general in science, like you try to come up with like the simplest explanation. You know, if these phenomena people see are indeed being seen and they're physically there, like simplest explanation is just, you know, they're not these little, when you die, sometimes you become this one and this one. You just become an invisible person and then you act like the visible
Right.
person that you were.
Yeah.
Introvert, extroverts, lazy, not, you know, choose to walk through walls, choose to keep on.
You know, it's funny, and I've said this before on the show. The movie Ghost really portrays the ghosts, I think, the way that, in my mind,
You love that.
the
movie.
way that they are.
They literally are showing them as just an invisible version of themselves.
Yeah, yeah, who are trying to figure it out,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, and that whole explanation of how
Just like
to.
You would, yeah, if you get dropped into some weird place and people can't see you, like, how would you act?
Yeah,
Right.
all right, this is what I gotta do.
Yeah,
And you look for the one person who can maybe
Yeah.
speaks English, and
Right,
maybe it
like
goes
the
looks for the
medium, right,
medium.
yeah.
And one person they can speak to, who Richard said say hello to everybody, and is willing to come back on and do another show at any time.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice.
Wow, real quick.
We weren't able to figure out how to get Catherine on.
No, well, I asked and I
okay.
didn't get a
Yeah.
reply back from her, so I'm not sure, maybe.
Yeah, Catherine, if you want, you can just post another Q&A thing, just saying that you want to be on it.
And I think I can turn your microphone on and we can talk. But if you can't, I will tell you guys, I was here Tuesday night into Wednesday, got here Tuesday night around 11:45 and stayed till about 6:15 Wednesday morning with CBS. We were shooting something here, and the guys were totally cool. Steve Overmeyer, who usually does the sports on CBS, he came and he shot this thing, and really a nice guy, and the two camera guys, Carlos and.
Was he doing like sports announcing while you?
No. I can't put on an investigation. He was a cool guy. And it was a real positive experience, but there were some weird things in the merchant's house, and one of them being the light up on the lamp, the hallway lamp, hanging on the second floor. After we were all done, we all were wrapping, we were putting the cables together and getting ready to get out, literally bringing the stuff outside to the CBS van. Light flashed. The guy was getting some B-roll upstairs, and Chris, and he came down and he was like, "Hey Dan, do you know if that light up on the second floor, if that flickers or if that flashes?"
Mhm.
I said, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know." I said, "But it's an old house, stuff like that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
A little flickering light is not a ghost,
Yeah.
does not a ghost make." And he goes, "No, I understand." He goes, "But it happened when I asked it to happen, and only when I said please." And I was like, "Well, if something is on like a rhythm and you say at the same question, and it happens, it's gonna look."
Only time you ask them.
Yeah, he goes, "It happened a couple times." And I said, "Well, let's go up there." And so Forrest went up there, and we're just standing around sitting on the steps, and we're asking Mrs. Treadwell, "Is that you?" or anybody from the house. And sure enough, it only flickered when we said, "Please."
Yeah.
And even one time we were like, "Oh, come on, we said please."
Yeah.
And then pink, the light went out. We're like, and everybody was like, "Whoa."
Did
And it happened.
you got that on tape?
Yeah. And again, like I said, it's just a light flickering.
Yeah.
But I've been coming here doing this for 17, 18 years. I'm coming to the merchant's house, and it's never happened.
Yeah.
It's never happened.
I've
Do I think that was a
I've
ghost
never
doing that?
seen,
It's
like-
easier for me to believe that that's just a bad bulb
Yeah.
than, one of the Treadwells is up there trying to turn it on and off, but it's never happened.
Yeah.
But you were talking, I
No, I was
talked.
just gonna say, like, I haven't noticed it either, when I
Yeah.
was here setting up equipment and stuff.
And then
So-
also that night when we went up to the servants' quarters, that the room, servants' quarters is up on the top floor. I forgot that we were doing a show. It's on the top floor. And it's a large room with 4 smaller rooms, and they have one of the rooms dressed up as what it would have been probably when the servants lived up there. And directly across from that, there are rooms that are closed. They're all locked up and hold some of the collection, most of the collection. And one of those doors was open and the light was on. And I noticed it immediately because, again, in 17, 18 years, I've never seen that door open, ever, let alone the light be on in the middle of the
So
night.
you can't even see it, it's just covered by
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it's easier for me to believe somebody left that open by mistake than a ghost went in, opened the door and turned the light on because the light switch was up. And then Steve made a good point. He said, what if they want us to come in here and they want to give us a clue to something? What if they want us to come in here to see something? I was like, that's a good.
It's like, you go in there.
Yeah, go ahead. But when we went in and it was a lot of room with lots and lots of photographs and boxes. And it was cool. We looked through some of the photographs. They're all treadmill photographs.
Oh, cool.
And
You're wearing gloves, right? Just kidding.
yes, we were. We were.
They're all destroyed. No.
The real demon.
Yeah, right.
But if somebody came to me and said the light was flickering, I was like, whatever, the place is haunted. Or if the light was on,
Yeah.
people
but
are in and
it's
out.
Intriguing enough to be like, hey, cool.
I've never seen it before here, so it was just it registered, and I just make a little mental note of that. And yeah, so that was cool, and that'll air, I believe, next Friday. They're going to have a little teaser for it. Check CBS or CBS.com.
You didn't like screw up your contract or whatever by disclosing. Forget what you just heard.
Yeah, they were. And then it's going to air definitely. There'll be a half an hour version of it. It's going to be a half-hour show
That's
on the
cool.
27th.
That's
So
awesome.
it'll be good for the house.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see it, and I got a good feeling that they're going to put together a really cool
Nice.
piece. They were cool,
Oh, cool.
good guys. And all right, so we're at the end of the show, and again, this show started off as Exorcism and went off on some really cool tangents. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us, yammer on and on and on about this stuff. So we want to thank you guys for coming. Anybody have anything?
No, just don't forget about all our great events, merchantshouse.org to sign up and register, and just come to the house and you can see the jewelry and the house set up as a 19th century home
Maybe
and
some light
morning.
flickering.
Yeah,
Maybe.
say please, say please.
Mhm.
And because it's funny because I told them, I said we're polite here at the merchant's house,
Yeah.
and we say hello when you come in, you say goodbye when you leave to the Treadwell.
Yeah.
So he was asking for a sign, and nothing was happening. He finally, when he went, please, the light went out, and so yeah, pretty cool.
Nice.
So all right, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Go to merchantshouse.org and make a reservation for one of the ghost tours, and I'm doing them at 9:30, but they run, I think, from 6:30 every 45 minutes or so, all the way up to the 9:31, and they sell out really fast. So jump on that. They're a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing some of you guys there. If you come and see it, and you see Matilda and I, tell us you watch the show. That'd be cool. And I want to thank our studio audience for hanging in there and being such a great studio audience, our studio audience member, singular. And yeah, so that's it. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for the Merchant's House. Thank you, Pi. We love you. And we'll see you guys in a month. Do we know what we're doing next month?
We don't.
For those that don't know, by the way, Pi is the head administrator of the building.
Yes, she's the executive
Yeah,
director.
he's not
of the
talking about
Merchant's
apple pie.
But she is as good as that.
Yeah. No, we don't know what we're doing next month.
All right.
We
Well,
just
it'll be a
hope to
surprise,
talk about it.
and hey, when you'll find out when we find out.
Mhm.
So thanks everybody. You have a great night. Have a great Halloween. Go watch The Exorcist if you want a scary movie.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched The Exorcist?
On TV, probably when it came on, like last Halloween, maybe.
Really?
No, I don't know. I don't.
I watch it a
remember
couple
really
times a year. I have the director's
times
cut.
a year.
I love The Exorcist. You really should, and let me know when you watch it because
Okay,
I'd like to know your take on it.
okay.
It's really good. And tell me what part you thought was the
I
scariest
will.
part.
I totally
I know
will.
you'll get it.
Mhm.
You'll get it because
Okay.
it's really. But yeah, I watch it all the time. It's funny. Quick Exorcist story. When I was living at home, my dad was around when I was living at home when my early 20s, and I'd bounce at the bars. I was a bouncer, and I would come home early in the morning, and I would go downstairs to sleep because it was stayed darker down there longer. And I was going down the stairs and I heard the TV on, all the lights are on, and there's my dad standing in the middle of the living room downstairs in the basement watching The Exorcist. He had turned all the lights on.
Oh.
And he didn't want to go upstairs until I came home. He
Didn't
didn't.
want to back against the wall.
He was standing up. I said, "Are you scared watching it?" No, I'm going to bed now. He didn't want to go up by himself until somebody else was there. So. Oh, I miss my dad. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys, and we'll see you next month.
Bye, everybody.
Night, night.